Oh, because it's not plugged in yet. Okay. Ruh-roh. Okay. There. Let's see if that is plugged in now. Too much stuff on the ground. There we go. Okay, now it's connected. All right. We will see what happens. Hello, everybody. I'm a little late starting, a few minutes late. Turn this up or tilt this up. All right. So today is the, let's see, Happy New Year. Hey, Bertie Wooster. First into the chat, as always. I hope everybody's doing great. We're going to start off here. Let's see. Today, hey, Anne. Okay, today is the first of 12 weeks of book club. It's not going to be the only thing we do, but it will be, the big thing that we do in every live stream. And I hope you're able to participate and you want to participate. That's going to be really exciting. So let's see. Right off the bat, why don't I? There's a compilation that's out. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. A compilation just came out and has come out, I believe, for 15 years. And let's see, can I find it? I know that it's on Spotify. It's called Django Festival. And there have been, there's always filled with great artists. But let's see if I can find it here. But anyway, this year's just came out at the beginning of this year. And there are a few people that I know on it, including myself. On this recording with the band Ultra Foe from Baltimore. So I'm going to play them. It's really exciting and talk about some of those just to get us started. Let's see. I'll find a visual of that record actually while I hit play. But this is from it's on the compilation. I'll show you guys in a second. And it's called Convergence, and it's beautiful. It's the original composition by Michael Joseph Harris, and it features the brilliant playing of Jason Anik. We all tracked this. So this was done, I believe, in 2019. I tracked my parts. I didn't know yet what I learned about home recording during the pandemic. That was the year that I really paid attention to what microphone am I recording on. Like, I learned all this stuff. Like, and my home setup sucked. It really sucked. I had all this latency all the time. I realized in hindsight, and my parts were all recorded. I borrowed a microphone from somebody. Who did I borrow? It was like this gnarly, like, powered ribbon mic. Who did I borrow that from? That was crazy. Anyways, I didn't know what I was doing at all. But it's just, that's just some of the story that I can share about this wonderful record, my stuff on it. I remember thinking that, like, my parts were a little behind or something like that. And I believe that was partly skill, but mostly the latency. Anyway, let's check out this track, and like I said, I'll find that record because I know it on Spotify, but I'm not going to share the Spotify window. This is on YouTube, so we're just starting this out. Happy New Year, Tom, and Nomad Farmer. Hey. Flickering. It's a weird Mac issue that I have. Anyway, it's on this record. I can tell you now I would approach things differently, and that's the great I would probably on the repeated da da dee dum 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 da dee dum dum do do do, or maybe some combination of that immediately comes to my mind that probably wasn't. But making those shapes in such a beautiful they're long note values, but they have this very defined rhythmic quality. It's really an exceptional composition. I mean, It's badass, is what it is. A little bit of my comping. And so everybody tracked this. Probably, I think the guys put down the guys. Everybody's a guy on this record. So pronouns don't help us here. The core group of Ultrafo is the band leader Michael Joseph Harris, and at that time the band had Sammy Arifin for a long time, many years, on as the second guitarist or rhythm guitarist or whatever. Much more than that, but second guitarist maybe. And then the current bass player was Zach Serlith, who had been there for many years. Those two musicians are not in Ultrafo anymore. They're still very active, making different musics. Great musicians, great people. But that's the core group that was living in Baltimore and gigging all the time. Michael still lives in Baltimore, so I'm pretty sure Sammy does. Anyways, and then there's the Jason Anick, the violinist who lives in Massachusetts and teaches at Berkeley. And his parts were done like pretty much first. I think that Michael did the rhythm section. If I remember correctly, like he wanted us to come down there, but it just seemed like there was no budget, to do travel and stuff. And I was living in Brooklyn, and it was a real, I don't know. I wasn't sleeping much. Everything was a schlep. So I wanted to stay there and didn't want to go, I guess, down to DC or Baltimore to record those tracks. And anyways, everybody ended up doing them at home. Well, maybe not the initial rhythm section, but I did my tracks at home, and I think Jason went into a studio and did his. Yeah. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's do it. I'm sorry. This part's so beautiful. Oh boy. I think if I recall, I gave him 2 tracks, and one was sort of longer notes and comping for the whole thing, and then he could add that together, and then the other one was a busier track. I think that's what I did, because that's what I usually do on recording projects. A thing that I've noticed from listening to Jason Anick is he's very unique in the shaping of his lines. I mean, there is such depth to his playing. You know, of course he has this huge vocabulary and rhythmic sensibility, but he also does all these things that are so based on dynamics and exactly executed articulations. A lot of variety and just such depth when you start to listen to it deeper. And this is Michael's solo, the band leader and composer. Great sound. There's no accordion in this one. There I am. I'm really down in the mix on the whole record. which is fine. That's how it is, sometimes. It's really more about the two solos. You could think of like a concerto, maybe. You have your soloist. And there, Jason Annex changing the articulation. I like my little part. I come with that little broken chord thing. Jason's got these little swells. Da, dee. That was my decision to go on 2 and 4. Or whatever it is. It's a weird. Because there was no directions as to what to play. It was just a lead sheet, or probably not a lead sheet, because I think at that he doesn't give you lead sheets. He wants to make everybody learn his tunes by ear, as well he should. But I think it was just sometimes there's a chord chart or like a really bad lead sheet, like he paid somebody to transcribe it and it's worthless. It's a worthless lead sheet. Anyways, yeah, that's the tune. So welcome everybody. I just wanted to share that. So what? Also, did I get rid of it? Spotify. Here we go. So alumnus of Rising Reed and wonderful band leader, musician, and jam session creator and community builder, Charlie Schuler, out of the DC area, and his great band Jambalaya are here on track number 15. Very cool. I'll let you guys all check that out on this same compilation. That's really fun to see somebody that I've known over the years on accordion, and he's had Jambalaya for many years now and done a lot of stuff. So it's very, very cool. Congrats, Charlie. And then on February 8th, I'm going to play with Sims, and his tune Move is on here. And this is cool. It's cool to see so many Americans on this. Very cool, because there are heavies. I mean, Adrian Monard and so many people, Gizmograph, so many. And these are just, the two other people that I know. And anyways, that's why I'm pointing them out. So that's cool. Today we're going to do Artist's Way. So I think there's a lot to cover. I wasted time sharing my own music. I suppose the only other thing to do is to show, before I hook up the iPad here, the only other thing to do is to show that we've got the forums now. And hang on, I'm getting that weird pulsing web screen thing again. We got the forums. So it says website's down. I'll change that soon. We got the forums, and this is where, right after I end the live stream today, I'm going to hop on the weekly live stream forum, and I'm going to put, the thread for Artist Way week 1, and we can pop in there and you can comment. I think the best thing to do to start with is whatever you want to share and however much you want to share. I'll talk about that more as we go on. But yeah, so risingreed.com, and then you'll find your way to the forums, and it's right there at the top. If you have had an account on a website of mine before, you'll just need to do a password reset. You should be in there. If you're not, just make a new account. This should be cool. All right, so here we are at the Artist's Way, and wow, in my describing stuff, I just talked about chapter 1, or rather week 1. Week 1, chapter 1 is the same thing. And let's see, just opening up my iPad here. But what I, didn't account for and should have suggested is to read the introductions, of which there are 2, and they're both really good. They come in hard and strong, and they add a lot of like context, which is cool, that I didn't have before when I checked it out. So let's see, that is a lot of pages. So there's a lot to cover here. I don't want to go really past the hour if I can help it, because I think that makes for like a tighter kind of thing for all of us. Yeah, and I'll get better at these as we go on, but we're just starting it up again. The last time I did this was for the Pablo Casal's book, and that was really fun. I didn't bring enough cables with me from the West Coast, so I have to take out the power cable for the laptop and make sure that it doesn't die on me and plug it into the iPad here. Just got to open this up. Let's see. So I'm curious. Let's see. Anne says the introductions are worth reading. So Anne read them, which is awesome. Let's see here. We're going to do a new movie recording in QuickTime. I should have had this set up ahead of time, but I was trying to get it to charge as long as I could. Okay, so we'll go here. And then, let's see here. We'll go see if QuickTime shows up. PQ, there it is. Okay, killer. Voila. Okay, we've got it. Terrific. And I can make myself a little bit larger. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna jog my memory and opine as we're going on. And there are certain things. Tom says he's in, and it seems very good. That's great. It's it's especially in the introductions. It's very clear that this is a spiritual pathway, and this is about God and creativity. And she leaves it open. We'll get to that. I'm gonna just kind of opine based on what I have highlighted in various ways here, so you guys can see. This is the 10th anniversary edition that I have here, and I'm just gonna kind of recite what I have, and then that'll help me remember all this stuff. I don't have quite a slide deck here prepared, but it's good. The format, I should say, of what we're gonna do is, each time that we meet, so next Tuesday, I will talk us through week 2's chapter, and it should take less time because there's no introductions to cover. But before that, we'll do our check-in, which she talks about in the activities. So we'll do our check-in. I'll do a little verbal check-in. The stuff that's going to happen at the end of the previous week. So on Monday, I think that you should do your own check-in by yourself to make sure that you and I will also. And then go ahead and read the next chapter. I think that they're very short, all very short. I started this earlier in early spring of 2024, and I only got a few chapters in. So I don't know that the entire book is short chapters, but it seems like it is. So I think you could read it in one sitting. There's so much cool advice. And when I did it before too, I didn't read the introductions. So I learned new stuff, and I feel like this book you could come back to over and over and over again. So anyway, post on the forums, comments, sharing. You'll see that the vibe we're going to do is positivity, because I think that's a major theme of week 1 is about being positive and changing our thinking and stuff. Actively trying to cultivate positivity of ourselves and our artist self. So that's the vibe here. And if you want to reflect that in any comments that everybody always does. I mean, this is a very positive thing, but be even more positive if you want. So on Mondays, thereabouts, that's the schedule I would suggest if you want to stay aligned with me. It would be read the next chapter, do your check-in. I guess you should do your check-in before, and then read the next chapter. And then I'll cover the next chapter and maybe, a summary of whatever check-in I want to share on the stream. And then the summary of the next chapter, and then we'll move on. And that'll be it for 12 weeks, I think, although who knows what could happen. So with no further ado, let's get right into it. So this is the introduction to the 10th anniversary edition, which is fascinating, has some stuff. The language changes. So the language in the first in the book that I read feels different. The certainty, the absolutism, and even the certainty and absolutism, I think, covers it. So I'm just going to kind of recite. So she just opens up with, art is a spiritual transaction. And to me, that is cool because I'm also reading, as a result of the other like therapy stuff that I've talked about on the stream before, I'm reading this book that talks about loving oneself, so having a positive thing there. And he describes that fundamentally immediately at the beginning as a transaction as well. So that resonates with something that I'm kind of thinking about already. This idea of like, okay, what am I transacting? So I would say for our first little, pondering here, what is that transaction? If it is a spiritual transaction, how does that work? Who are we transacting with? And I think I'm open to, I'm not catching everything, and I'm not trying to have a scholastic. I'm trying to get through this stuff and use it. And I'm not a scholar or anything like that, an academic. So I may misunderstand things or gloss over things. So if anybody has any cool things or, different interpretations or anything like that, share it. I'd love to hear. Or anything I don't touch on. This is really fun. So anyway, the spiritual transaction, so what are we, a transaction is what? Like it's an exchange, right? So I'm exchanging something of value for something else of value, right? A transaction. So a transaction of the spirit. But if I'm the only creator here, with whom am I transacting? And I think that's the the cone to ponder. A tree falling in the woods doesn't make a sound. How do we transact with ourselves if it's just us, or maybe it's not just us, which she's going to go on and talk about the idea that creativity is God or is a God energy. So my next highlight here is it is work that creates the market, not the market that creates our work. That's really cool. I don't know if she is going to talk about that idea at all in the book. It reminds me a little bit of maybe a Marxist reading or any sort of economics capitalist, based idea of, one way of looking at our existence, especially in a capitalistic society where we are, sort of quote unquote free to, create our careers and exchange our labor for, this currency called a dollar and stuff like that. And then like as artists, that's like everybody knows that's a struggle. So anyway, it's kind of cool. It's the idea that, we do have value, huh? Okay. And then there is not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to the way I underlined stuff. You'll find that I kept changing it up, and that was just because it kept me engaged, and I didn't have to manage myself so much. I was kind of working from more of a creative subconscious thing. Anyway, so the next underline is I thought this was interesting. So we're learning some about the author Julia Cameron. I'm terrible with names, by the way. Sorry. Okay, we're learning about the author Julia Cameron, and we're learning here under the black underline that she's right now, as she's writing this, what she's up to now is working to write Broadway shows, and so she drops talks about Richard Rodgers and what's his name, Hart, first name I can't recall. But anyway, she drops some cool stuff, which I think is cool for us because it's a tie-in with music, and that's what we're doing. Moving over to the next page. Here in the first highlighting, she just references musicians, which I thought is also very cool. Because there are other places where she doesn't talk about musicians. She references a bunch of pretty much every other creative medium, but not music. And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. But here she does, and I think a cool, a deep drop, some B-side names. Okay, and then she sort of talks about her history of how this book evolved. So she started out in 1978. I began teaching artists how to unblock and get back on their feet, and that became more and more popular. And then eventually, so she was teaching these classes that were really popular. And then in the red boxes, she's talking about she finally sat down and wrote out her sort of curriculum that she'd been teaching for many years, and put it into a book. And then sounds like they just gave it away. I don't know. They didn't say gave it away. She doesn't say gave it away, but she does say that people photocopied it. So, which sounds like at a certain level giving away, which is cool. We're happy to compensate Julia Cameron for her work and this awesome, amazing thing that she's created. So that's kind of neat. That's the history of it. And she talks about that one of the original titles she was thinking about was healing the artist within. So we should know that like the intention of the whole thing is healing the artist. And then she ultimately went with a different title. And then she starts talking about God and the creator. And she talks about how she found herself, I'll read it, humbled by the power of God, the great creator. And then she starts talking about, let's see, this is more fellow pilgrims. Yeah, she's talking about her own artistic creation and teaching. Oh yeah, and then she talks more about like defining God. So I'll read this part. Artists throughout the centuries have spoken of inspiration, confiding that God spoke to them or angels did. In our age, such notions of art as a spiritual experience are seldom mentioned, and yet the central experience of creativity is mystical. Opening our souls to what must be made, we meet our maker. Now, at this point, I think it's worth pondering. I'm curious if anyone wants to put in the chat. Like, to me, and I know that like the purpose of me wanting to do this book earlier last year and now is there is some sort of, which she talks about, moving from a shadow artist more to like more of an artist, confident. I'm scratching whatever sort of itch exists. That being said, I'm not so sure that I come immediately to the idea that what I do is mystical, in my creative process. That word might not be on a list if you ask me to like sit down and write what it is. Is it magic? Is it human being magic? Is it like this, like the coolest, parts of being alive, or whatever, like a gift of life, the beauty, the thing, the good things in life. Yeah, it is. It's that. And in that way it's magical. But to me, there's something about it that feels so much more maybe sensational, of the sensations, or of the pleasure of sound, that there's something like just deep in that pleasure of sound. And I updated my bio for Django in June, and I was just kind of like in a creative bio, and I just kind of let out the ideas, and it turned out to be a little bit more of a story about a framing of my life and a couple pathways of music and teaching. And I recounted how like my I don't know if I included it, but like I know that I was attracted to instrumental music at an early age. My parents didn't really expose it to me in the sense that they were musicians or took me to orchestra concerts, but like hearing the music of Disneyland, which like compared to other pop music at the time had a lot more musical instruments. Barbershop Quartet, this cassette tape that I had, one side was the Main Street Electrical Parade, which is like 20 minutes of like Moogs doing kind of weird versions of like bluegrass music, but like, I don't know, not bebop, but anyways, instrumental music. So I know that from an early age, like the instrumental music has given me pleasure, deep pleasure. And I think that that's a capacity and a component. There's something in there like that I'm trying to access, and I'm just trying to find the frame for me. So I don't know if anybody out there is thinking about that. Oh shoot, I see that I'm not uploading. What is going on here? Oh boy, that's not good. Okay, that would be what's going on. So what is happening here? Okay, this is not good. Not good at all. Shoot. Okay, what is going on? Okay. Well, shoot.